into it, intro.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. Figure it out. So, welcome back to another episode of What Did We Buy? So, this week we took a trip up to Maryland to pick up some arcade games for a friend of ours. He paid our trip to go up there, and we got to do some picking on the way back down. We also picked up a pinball machine and an arcade machine.
Which we bought.
Well, we bought, so.
And a typer. Another metal typer.
Metal typer. Which I don't know if we showed before or not. Metal typer. Kind of cool. So when we were at the place in Maryland, which is called Game Room Garage. So got a lot of arcade games, records, some toys, comic books. Anything you'd want in your game room or your man cave.
Do not say man cave.
Oh, sorry.
Douchebags say man cave.
Oh, sorry.
Hate that word.
Sorry. So anyway, what I found to pick up and bring home is this Stompers.
Didn't I buy that for you?
Bully, yep.
Okay. I always get them one gift.
So
on a trip.
So this was $10. Fully up and working. If this thing works and everything, these usually sell for about $100. There's a winch that plugs into the front of these. You can see here. That was always an added thing that you had to buy separate. I'm looking for one of those. I would love to have one of those to the collection. So that's one thing that I got there. And then the other thing I picked up was this advanced Dungeons and Dragons creature, still new in the package. I think it was $25. So I looked at comps for this. So probably gonna sell this. This is $60 to $75. I saw one of these selling on the package like this. Loosed it's $20, but on the package it's crazy expensive. And then Jen picked up a menu board here, because as you can see in our background, one of our collections is soda stuff. So this is a giant Pepsi vintage, maybe even German, because there's some weird lettering. Enterk Windsor, whatever that means.
And it's what, 5 feet tall? Because I'm 6.
Yeah.
So it's big.
So, and we already have a Pepsi menu sign over here on the wall. But this one is pretty cool. So we got that one there. We picked up I think Jim picked that up at a flea market.
For $30 in North Carolina.
Was that North Carolina? Yeah. It's hard to remember where some of this stuff come from. So then on our way back, we stopped at...
Oh yeah, sure. Spend $50 or more.
Yeah, $50 or more, they throw you in a shirt. So
here's their advertisement. It's on the back too.
So their one location is closing, but they're going to be opening up a new location. I think that concentrates more on the records and stuff. So then we went down to North Carolina to pick up a arcade or a pinball machine. Let me show the back glass real quick.
I can get it.
So while we were picking that up, the guy there, I guess somebody had passed, a family member had passed away, and he was into comic books, DVDs, Hot Wheels, marbles, and the guy was just like glad we were buying this pinball machine because he had a couple pinball machines, so we helped to find a buyer for the other one, and we bought this Looney.
He had a buyer lined up for the other one. I helped him fix this one.
Oh, we helped. I'm not sure the whole situation.
It was not working, but I was nice, and I told him I really wanted this pinball, and I've been trying to get it for quite so many years now, and they always slip through my fingers.
So we have the full machine. It's still in the truck. We haven't unloaded it yet, but it's a working machine.
I think the new translate's got some.
Yeah, it's got a little
some issues.
But so I guess he was so happy she was buying that. He gave her a bunch of free gifts that he had found around the house. So we got Looney Tunes. This is still sealed. So this one's still sealed, the whole complete set. This one's still
They're not
sealed.
gonna be sealed for long because I will wash them.
But then we got that one and this one, this one, this one, and this one. So he just gave us those. And then what else was it? Yeah, he just kind of surprised her with it. And then some Hot Wheels for Looney Tunes. So a lot of this stuff's newer stuff, though. I think these Looney Tunes are like maybe 2014 or something. I think I saw. And then some of these Looney Tune Hot Wheels. So that was a cool little bonus. Then he's like, I seen a whole stack of these in the corner, and I just made a comment on it. He's like, here, take it. I didn't even want it, but he's like, I've been trying to sell them. I can't find anybody that wants to buy them, so I'm giving them away for free. So I'm like, all right. He pretty much wouldn't take no for an answer. And then he's like, I seen a whole box full of marbles. My dad used to collect marbles. So I was kind of trying to take a look over there. And he's like, you want some? Take a couple bags. And I didn't want to take a couple bags, but these kind of caught my eye. I don't think they're very vintage. I haven't had a chance to really look into them. But I just thought the colors were really cool. And then I grabbed just a couple out of other bags of some different marbles that looked really interesting. Real shiny. You know, Jen likes to have little mementos of our trips. So even these aren't things that we collect, this probably be a little memento in regards to our trip, so we know some kind of memory to it. Then on the way down from there, we stopped at a game store outside of Fayetteville, North Carolina. And I found a few games there. Nothing too crazy. Trying to finish off my Nintendo 64 collection, so I found a bunch of commons for Nintendo 64. Fox Sports, Madden, FIFA. These FIFA games are difficult to find no matter what system it is. I don't know what it is about FIFAs. And then Duck Dodgers. This is a good find though. Lotus Challenge for GameCube is one. I'm getting close to the end there. This one I've only found it one other time, but it didn't have the manual. It's the first time I found it with the manual. And then Slugfest kind of eludes me. And this NHL Hits. This is actually a pretty pricey one. I think it's like about a $20 hockey game. I don't know why this particular game. Maybe it's because it's got St. Louis Blues. Go Blues. I don't know. And then from there we headed and saw a good friend of ours in, St. Mary's, Georgia, with Game Over Games. And I picked up some stuff from him. And then decided to keep up with the N64 pickups. But on top of that, though, I did find this Critical Depth. He's a submariner in the Navy, a former. I think he's retired. Is he retired now? I think he's retired.
Oh, yes.
Did he retire? Yeah. So
yes.
He's retired from the Navy, but former submariner. And so he usually always has like cool submarine games. But this is kind of like Twisted Metal, but with submarines. So I think it was like $8 game, so not too uncommon. Accidentally picked up a double, so that happens from time to time. But I'll bundle it with another system I got. So Wetworks, Body Harvest, Cyber Tiger, that another Madden, because I didn't realize I picked up the Madden the day because 24 hours between each other, and I didn't update my list. So, and then Mia Hamm. This one's kind of a difficult one for me to find. So,
did you stick
not really
stickers on
expensive.
that
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, I put stickers on them, so I know that I have those. So I know what stickers I don't have left. Let's see, these are amazing stickers. You can peel them and restick them, and
That's good.
yeah, they work out really good. Before we left, we went to the flea market on Sunday. We didn't really get out much, but I did pick up some VHS tapes. These are practically new. I mean, if they wouldn't have been open, they would still be sealed. But the sellers, obviously, derp.
Woo!
So, I got Return of the Jedi.
Remember that, folks.
Empire
If it's not
Strikes
open,
Back.
It's sealed.
And then they're in almost new condition. So if they were still sealed, these would be like $200. But I did see a set similar to this going in this kind of condition for about $40 to $50. So I figure that's not too terribly bad. And in the mail, I got, last week I showed a video of picking up the Gig guitar. Well, I got the game to go with it now, so I can match that, pair that up. So we stopped at a yard sale today, right? Today we went yard sailing.
Yeah.
Wasn't
he was only
go.
going to go to 6. No, he wasn't going to go. I said, let's go.
So,
And he's like, okay, there's 6 around the neighborhood, and then like 42 garage sales later.
the thing about us is that we have people that have like resellers that have yard sales constantly.
Every weekend, it's the same people in our neighborhood.
So drove out the back way, thought I was going to a new sale because there's a lady that she's had every weekend she has a sale. So we always just drive by her, even though she has new stuff, but it's not really worth stopping at. And then there's another person in the neighborhood that about every 2 months they have a yard sale, but they amass stuff that they get free. So people announce stuff for free. So that was a pass.
We gave away a free fish tank, and we showed up there, and the guy's like, "Oh, you want to buy that?" I'm like, "Nope, I threw it on the curb for free." And he kind of looked like, "Yeah."
He was dumbfounded about it. So, and then we went to another sale, I think, that we had already been to, like maybe a couple weeks before.
Oh, where we got the 50-cent table, a dollar table, $2, $5, $10 table.
Yeah, so those were all busts, and then I think we had like 3 or 4 more sales. No,
We got some Halloween. I don't know if that was the same one.
No,
I think.
not
Oh
yet.
yeah, that was the same one. That one.
That was with this one
Yeah.
here, but so the first one I actually found anything at. I was walking by. I didn't even think there was games because it was just kids' clothes, but I seen a table with like a dance party game sitting on a sheet, and I just saw this poking under it. It was a Wii. The dance party was a Wii game, so I was like, "Oh, that's probably a Mario game. Let me check it out." And of course, I walk up, and it is a Mario game, so I popped it open, and it was there, and I was like, "Oh, awesome!" And she's like, "Oh man, I forgot. I still got other video game stuff that I forgot to put out." So I was like, "Cool." So then she goes over to her car and pops the trunk and pulls out a bag and just starts pulling out all these games. The only thing that really caught my eye though was Star Wars for Kinect. Not very pricey game. I think it's a $5 game, but it still looks kind of cool. And then Xbox 360 Minecraft, which still sells for I think like $12-15. So that should resell. And then she had some controllers. PlayStation 2 controller was in really good shape. Always need these controllers. And then a couple Xbox 360s, which she did not guarantee would work. But everything was $2 a piece, so I think I spent $8 there for everything. Or was it $12? $12. Sorry, $12 for everything there. Then we were going to was that the start of the subdivision sale? I think it was.
Yeah. Well, no, the big sale was the start of it, where we that guy, and then the other one.
So we started going through another sale, and we ran into another reseller YouTuber, Rally Roots, and said hi to them, but they were negotiating on something. So we went around the corner to another sale, and just a whole bunch of boxes of DVDs. And I just happened to see a couple video games, so I grabbed these two out. Everything was $1 in the box. So I grabbed this. This is a $20 game, Baldur's Gate for PlayStation 2. And then Omni Mushi, I believe, is an $8 game for PlayStation 2. And then I just recently sold off my collection of Lord of the Rings collector's editions on DVD because I got the Blu-ray a while back, and they sold almost instantly. So $1 a piece, kind of a no-brainer to go ahead and grab those to flip. And then a couple weekends ago, I don't know if I showed it off or not, but I picked up some Roger Rabbit buttons. So I figured, kind of nostalgia for Roger Rabbit while we were shopping at the Man Cave place. I'm sorry, the Game Room Garage. He had a Roger Rabbit plush still in the box, but
I've seen that.
$50 on it was just way too much for me to want to spend on anything like that. And then Demon Knight was one of my favorite movies in the 90s. Aladdin, I figured, would be a great pickup because the new movie's coming out, but I just opened it up and it's missing one of the 2 discs, so probably no value there. And then Tombstone, the director's edition. I love this movie, so I just have the regular edition, so I'll upgrade and keep this one for my set and then get rid of the other one. And then we drove around the corner and ran into Rally Roots again at another sale. And they were looking at some toys. And then after they were done, I went to look at the toys and I was talking to the lady. And she's like, said she had some Legos, but then she went in the house and the kid didn't want to let go of the Legos. So then I went walking around the corner to another house from where the Rally Roots people were coming from. And
he was gone for like 15 minutes.
Yeah, well, I was down there and the lady's all like, what are you looking for? And I was like, well, I like looking for video games and stuff like this and that. And she's all like, video games? She's like, I don't know if I should say. She's like, well, what kind of video games? I was like, well, I like the older video games, Nintendo, such and such. And she's all like, and then she was there with another guy and another lady, and they kind of started talking back and forth about whether they should let me see something or not. And then they're all like, well, did he call you back? And she's like, no, he never called me back. So I'm like, okay, I'm still looking around. And so she's like, well, why don't you come in here into the garage? I've got some video games you can look at. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I see 2 boxes, these paper boxes, size boxes. 2 of these full of video games. So I started going through them and I'm looking at everything, and then she's telling me how this wasn't her house, that the other lady, it was her house, and that I guess some guy had asked her about video games earlier, and she's like, yeah, let me go home and grab them and I'll bring them over here. And I guess he had left his phone number, and she called him saying, hey, I brought the games over, and he left a message and he never responded back. So she's like, well, maybe he's on his way back or whatever. And I'm like, well, I'm here now and I definitely want these games. How much for everything? She's like, I really haven't put a price on anything. I was just going to bring it over and see what he offered me. And I'm just like looking at everything, and I'm like, I guess she's wanting me to throw an offer, but she's not really saying anything. So
I don't know.
So I'm like, well, how about $100 for everything? Just throwing it out there to get the ball rolling. And her eyes kind of perked up a little bit, but at the same time, she was all like, well, I was really kind of hoping for at least $1 a game. So I started looking at everything, and then she's like, well, I really don't want to let anything go until that other guy gets here, or give him a chance to come here. And I'm like, well, so I just started throwing everything into a box that I definitely wanted to have, and then everything I didn't want, I put into the other box, or that I could have lived without. And I was like, here, how about I just buy this stuff because I really want this stuff, and you said $1 a game, and I think there was we counted everything out. There was 75 games. I miscounted. There's only 73 or 72 games in here, but
and one's missing a disc.
And one is missing a disc. And I was like, well, $75, and she's like, okay, I can let that, and that way if he shows up, there's still games for him to go through. I'm like, cool. And then of course she's like, let me call him one last time. And then she calls him, gets him on the phone, and he's all like, I'm on my way. And she's all like, well, I already kind of promised him these GameCube games. And he's all like, well, I guess whatever. I couldn't quite hear his side of the conversation, but I reached in my pocket and realized that I did not have enough money to buy them. So
he calls me, but he already took all my money.
So I was like,
I stayed in the truck because I didn't have any money to spend.
So I needed to make a beeline to the ATM. So I gave her $15, hoping, fingers crossed, that I'd get to the ATM and back, and that if he did show up, that my $15 was good faith, hopefully. But she seemed to be that kind of person. But he could have showed up and offered her $300, and of course she would have just gave me my $15 back, I would imagine. Maybe not. Who knows? But killer video game. Probably the best deal I've done in a long time. So Xbox, Raising Hell. I believe I already have that sealed. Godzilla Saved the World, Xbox. Wii, Mario Kart Wii. So just games, no systems. Then we got some PlayStation 1 games. These are the good ones. Spyro, CTR, another Spyro. This is a different one. Peter Pan, Return to Neverland, which I was surprised is like a $10 game. This one really shocked me. Was Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation 2, about almost a $25 game complete. And then here's a whole bunch of stack of like $5 games. Nothing too crazy for PlayStation. A loose NHL game, not really worth anything. I did get to add, then the rest of this, there's a whole bunch of handheld stuff. Lion King, Frogger, Spider-Man, Army Men. Jurassic Park will be added to my collection. I think this Pokemon Puzzle Challenge will be added to my collection. Found these in the box. Hit Clips. I looked those up. I remember reading an article or something that said these were worth some money, but I looked these up. They're not really worth anything. I guess like if they're still sealed, it's where they're worth money.
You still have stuff in the truck.
Do I still have stuff in the truck?
Your dino and my balls.
Oh yes, I do still have stuff in the truck. So the rest is all GameCube games, which is a massive amount of GameCube games in this box. So unfortunately, I only needed one game out of this for my collection, which is a cheapy baseball game. So the rest will all be trade bait or resale fodder. I did freak out at first because I thought this was the super rare and exclusive basketball game 2K3, but it's the NBA one and not the NCAA. But for a brief minute or two, I was at a flutter that this was the $120, $150 game, but it was not. But all these games are really clean. A lot of great titles. Just to show a few, like Luigi's Mansion, unfortunately, was missing. No manual, no disc, but I do have a loose disc of this. Mario Party 5 is a good highlight. Pimpkins, another good one. Paper Mario. So, another good one. Another Mario Party game, Mario Party 6. I mean, there's a few filler titles in here, but I mean, mostly overall good, decent GameCube games. And with GameCube games going up in value right now, it's insane not to be picking these up. What is over here? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Melee. It's kind of a fighter game. So, a lot of good trade bait. I'll use to trade for some other stuff. So that was probably one of my better pickups. $75. Just this stack alone pays for all of the games once these are sold or traded or whatever I decide to do with it. A couple other things we did end up picking up, which totally forgot about. This giant rubber-sized, like vinyl dinosaur. It's still new with the tags. Disney tag of $23 from the parks from dinosaurs. So I just thought it was cool. The guy's all like make me an offer on it. And I was like, I'd probably pay you $1 for it. And he's like, I'll take it. He's like, he said everybody kept looking at it, but nobody would buy it. So it feels like there's maybe some kind of electronics in it or something. I'm not 100% positive. I've never seen it before, but I got to look into it. Figure it should still make a pretty good sale at the flea market because it's probably something I don't want to try to ship. And then Jen's doing art projects and been looking for these styrofoam balls. We found the yard sale. It had like 4 large ones and 4 small ones. These things are pretty pricey at the craft stores if you ever go to price these things. So picking them up at a yard sale is perfect to help keep the cost down on her art project that she's trying to put together, which may be revealed at a later time if anybody's interested. So at that point, that's everything that we've got in the last week or so. So appreciate you taking the time and watching the video, and happy hunting.